Hello and welcome. My microphone's a little different today, so if I sound different and perhaps a little creepy, maybe you'll know why. But anyway, I'm here to tell you something I've kept a secret for quite a while now, in fact, right? Quite a while. I am the Maine taxi guy. That's right. That's me. Yeah. Right here, you're seeing a bunch of channels that that's a band. That's a band right there. The Maine. Nice band. You might like them. But these are people who read the stories I posted on 4chan between 2014 and 2017. These channels, and they're growing still. Hey, Black Mercury's here. All right. Hey, man. Sarah's here. Hey, Sarah. Determined Sheepy. Nice. Welcome aboard. Queenie? Yeah, I am. The Lazamat's just as shocked. Yeah, wouldn't you know? I am. The thing to remember is that the internet is a fun place to hang out, right? The internet has like Maine like the state. People think it's part of Canada. You know, that Maine. The How am I coming through? Just coming through okay now? Yeah, it looks better. All right. There we go. Everything's back right under the sun again. So, Maine, the state. Yeah. So in 2017, I stopped writing these. I just kind of ran out of creepy tales. Um, See, my family runs a taxi service up here in rural Maine, and you meet quite a few strange people, right? Quite a few strange people, and that's what inspired these stories here. So as you can see, Cac and Gravity PSI, he's good. I really like Gravity PSI. He made his own intros for these, by the way. He's got his own. He's got seasons to them and stuff. He's made his own intros for the main taxi guy stuff. But that's what these people do, right? They read this stuff, they get robo voices to read them out loud. The creepy pastas, right? The creepy pastas from 4chan. Do you guys know what creepy pastas are? You ever hear of them? There's creepy pastas on the internet where there's short stories in a green text. Maybe you've heard of green text stories. And that's where these come from. To do a one pager with me, I'm not an artist. So probably not ever. Minuscules. All right, that's a nice one. Okay, well, I'm not an artist, but oh well, here we go. But yeah, so these guys have like followed my work and enjoyed the stuff I created so much that they decided to create their own channels and that read this stuff out loud. Like we even have brand new people like well, of course me right now. Look at that. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. But you got Smooch has joined in. Megusa, she's great. She's a Scottish lady that reads these out loud, right? Yeah, so creepypasta, copypasta, these things are green text stories. Let me pop open one of these videos here that'll show it off. Get rid of the filter here for upload date. Back to relevance. And so again, people have made intros for these. So these right here. These green text stories. See, I'm sure you've seen these before, right? Oh, so you do know Elasmac. Of course, it's Godzilla. He says the Godzilla Nintendo Entertainment System, not the Super one. The creepypasta is still my favorite, with the Russian sleep experiment a close second. Honorable mention goes to Disneyland creepypasta. So this comes from that evil place called 4chan, right? And I was on there at that time writing these stories in X, which is filed under paranormal. Oh, good. This is good listening to material. These stories are collected by people who were there in the thread at the time, screenshotted. You can find For Plebs archive. I believe that's how you search it. For Plebs is in one word. The letter 4, yeah, the number 4, and then plebs after it. Archive. You have the whole archive of the threads that these were happening in. These are based off of like my personal adventures as a taxi driver in rural Maine. When you're young, you do jobs to make ends meet, and my family business was there. And you know what? I just like riding around talking to people. Oh, there's a guest. Welcome aboard.
Good day. Good times.
So you're familiar with this copy pasta stuff? These creepy pastas?
Curiously, no. I'm actually familiar with copypasta, but creepypasta is something that I don't have much exposure to. I know it's sort of horror related, but that's all I really know about it.
Yeah, it's the spooky, cursed story stuff like that, done in the same green text kind of way. I call it shotgun storytelling because you're just blasting out row after row after row of information.
Good way to describe it. To be honest, it's similar to a short story. It has to be explosive and hold your attention.
Yeah, and then so I wrote a series of these. These got collected into a bunch of compilation series of people that read them out loud, but they're based on my adventures as a rural taxi driver. Like, I'm trying to find the collection image so you guys can see how many of them there are. But there's one character that people really liked. It was the Burger Baron. Burger Baron, and in the story, he had to go to. Okay, here's one. Is it the big giant? Yeah. Okay, here it goes. Hold on, folks. I'm just going to share with you the. There it is. So this is a collection of the stories, their individual titles. Someone did very good work of making sure all of these were put together. So these are the stories that were written on 4chan, captured by these lovely archivists from 2014 to 2017. If you just search it on Google, you can find your own. They're in the giant-sized HD style images, so probably not good to look at with your phone, but on a nice big monitor or your tablet, they probably fit quite nicely, like 4,000 by 5,000, whatever pixels. Huge stuff. They're all right there to read. I'll save you the time. But hey, yeah, Queenie's working on her Spanish. Okay, well. Determined Sheepy says, when you're young, you do jobs to make ends meet. Young, what did you do to free yourself from the dreaded 50? 50? I'm 31. I'm not quite there yet. But so a character that was really popular was the Burger Baron. I'm trying to find him in this lineup here. I keep moving. There it is. Burger Baron, right? You look at the top of the screen over on the left, there's the Burger Baron. Okay, that's a pretty extensive story, right? So, Cider's now 50. Okay, cool. I'm an old man. Great, cool. I always wanted to be. Oh, the 50-hour work week? Oh, I took on a 180-hour work week. That's how I fixed it. When you're in family business, you're always working. So that's where this crazy stuff happens, right? So the Burger Baron, very popular character. Now, the story goes that he called us from a remote part of our service area, and he wanted to go into McDonald's to order food and go back home. So rather than get a delivery. So we took him in. This dude in the story orders 75 cheeseburgers and 60 orders of chicken McNuggets to go, right? Pays for it all, right? Now, in reality, what really happened was that he actually did do that. That is not a fabrication in any way whatsoever.
Good Lord.
Where I fabricated it is that he went back to his house and gave the food to Bigfoots, to Sasquach, whatever you want to call them, Sasquatches. Is that he had moved it, he'd become part of a tribe of Sasquach in the story that I wrote about the Burger Baron. All right?
And he was feeding them McDonald's, essentially.
What actually happened is he took all those burgers back to raccoons, right? And those raccoons ate, though he was friends with raccoons, this man in reality had been hit by a truck, right? And suffered a severe brain injury. By the end of his time with us, he had taken a chainsaw to the telephone pole outside of his house because demons were coming in through the wiring. He had pulled every copper wire out of his entire house by force with a fucking knife, cut it out of the drywall, the studs, because demons were there. He took the doors off of his house so his friends, the raccoons, could come and go. For some reason, a judge ruled that this guy should be on his own, and a lot of bad stuff happened. This is real, the real story of the Burger Baron. He was later committed to a place called Dorothea Dix Mental Health Hospital in Bangor, Maine. He recovered nicely. He's now living in a semi-monitored group home somewhere in the Bangor area. Well taken care of, very safe, not at all associating with raccoons and not pulling electrical wires out of his house anymore. But
that's a good change, I would say.
Yeah, in this story, he actually, the only thing I really changed about the experience was the intensity of it. We took him shopping once, and he bought tenting supplies so the raccoons could sleep in tents because he didn't want them sleeping outside. And for some reason, they didn't like his house anymore. Couldn't be all the shit on the floor. Who knew? But anyway, so we're departing, and he throws a blanket over the top of me as I go down the aisle where pots and pans are sold. Now this guy, he was paying us gobs of money to take him places and like $200 tips, right? As long as he wasn't hurting anybody, we were happy to take him anywhere he wanted to go, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy, but this is really, really what happened. Seriously, what happened in this time, okay? So as I am walking down the pots and pans aisle, this guy throws one of the blankets he's bought for the tent over the top of me like a Mother Teresa, drags me back out of the aisle and says, "Uncle Josh, they're gonna eat you." Now, at the time, he was calling me Uncle Josh. My name is not Josh. You'll know if you buy the Colossals, available now on Indiegogo. Link will be in the chat as soon as I remember how to do that, because I'm a big brain. But my name is Thomas Burpee. You'll see that in the Colossals book. But I'm firmly not Uncle Josh, okay? Firmly not Uncle Josh. There's a link to the Colossals if you guys are interested. It's a book I wrote. It's got Maine-based superheroes in it. Lots of oogity boogity, lots of spooky do, just like the Maine taxi driver stories. But back to the Burger Baron, right? So he throws this blanket over me, pulls me back. "Uncle Josh, they're going to eat you." And I just roll with it. I'm just like, "Okay, thanks for saving me, champ. Which way can we go from here?" And we get to the front end. I'm still under my blanket. He's holding the blanket over me. I am swaddled in a tenting camping blanket as I approach the front desk, right? Yeah, cider hype equals Uncle Josh. Yeah, well, okay, I'll call me Uncle Josh. Fine, whatever. Cider's now Uncle Josh, and I'm 50 years old. You learned so much, right? Exposed. So we get to the front end. The cashier's like, "What the fuck?" She's got that "what the fuck" expression. We're at Kmart of all fucking places. And if you don't know, Kmart's not in great shape, okay? So at that time, it was even worse. But so he won't let me talk. He says, "Uncle Josh almost got eaten." And he not necessarily pushes me, but he's got his arm around me and kind of shuffles me away from the payment input, and he just puts in his card, right? He got a big bunch of money from the company that hit him. So he had like, I don't know, a few $1 million, I guess, to burn, because this guy was going everywhere, buying everything for raccoons that raccoons would never need. And finally, again, it came to him chopping down the telephone pole with the chainsaw to get the state involved, because at that point it was destruction of public property, and something had to be done about it. And again, he got carted off. But the Burger Baron is a real incident. I didn't really change a lot for that story. I just simply relayed it and changed the names in order to protect identities, and changed out the raccoons for Sasquatch. That's all I did for it.
Jeez.
Yeah, you guys, if you want to, you don't have to read these. There's channels all over YouTube that bring these up. They are there's new ones if you want to get in with new channels that are just starting out, discovering the material. There's old ones that use robo ones. There's the 1,000 subscribers special by Keck the OP over here. A few years ago, got posted at 154,000 views. It's 2 hours of a robot reading these stories out loud. Feel free. Got some nice creepy music in the back too. There's other channels too. I just had Magusa up here. I really like Magusa's work because she's Scottish, and I won't play her stuff because like that's YouTube no. But Meg Usa, it's like Medusa but with a G, and she's very Scottish, and she gets creeped out reading the stories, so it's kind of fun to read or listen along with her.
Yeah, no kidding.
The expose of Uncle Josh. But yeah, over on YouTube, you search up these Maine taxi driver stories. That's me. I created those in 2017, 2014, in that time period. They're based on the wacky adventures I had as a taxi driver in rural Maine. Stephen King doesn't have to reach very far for strange people, characterizations, and the stuff that he creates, Doesn't have to reach that far. It's pretty astonishing. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I wasn't going to say anything. I was just clearing my throat.
Oh.
My throat's been bothering me the last couple of days.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's what it is. Allergies. Tis the season for the allergies.
Seasonal change, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's that again. I worked that into some of the stories as well. With uh, with David, right? I was able to just sort of translate any experience I had into a spooky situation. All right, and some of them were pretty innocuous, but I made them pretty weird. I want to start by explaining this. Right, this could probably a good point to explain what the fuck is the Maine taxi driver and why did people care about it? Right now that I've introduced you to one of the kookiest stories, it's one of the most popular ones. Oh, excuse me, it's Comics Gate tradition. F. I'm bright.
Yep.
Comics Gate tradition. So, as you may be wondering, the Maine taxi driver stories on 4chan, there is X paranormal, right? /X. You probably heard of /B. That's where the fappening came from. All the celebrity nudes came from when the news was like, who is 4chan? Who is this guy 4chan? Yeah, you remember that, right?
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Every day
unintentional pun there.
But oof. on X, it's strictly paranormal stuff. So it's all X-Files.
They had a lot of stuff on there too, like tulpas and shit like that. How to summon a succubus and incubus. Paranormal had some weird stuff on it.
Need me to go to you need me to find that? Yeah, well, Maine's full of its own spooky shit. So one night I was reading through this stuff and I felt really inspired, so I just created a lore about a driver named David. Now, David's name came from 4chan itself. If you're someone who used to be on 4chan in like 2006, 2007, like I was, that was my first social media network, right? That I didn't have MySpace or Facebook. I got first introduced to talking to people on the internet through 4chan. So anyway, you'd know that at one point Moot, the site owner, changed everybody's name to David. It was around the time of party hats, and for no other reason, just to amuse himself. So the anonymous tag on every post was changed to David. That's where the name David came from. So it's meant to be anonymous, but the name is David because of that old thing that happened. But it's just fun because it's an innocuous name. It's not some special name of some special guy with special destiny. Because the trick to David, right? The trick to David was that he didn't confront evil. He didn't fight it. He didn't have any discourse with it. He didn't know any special spells. He didn't have any special blood. He was just a taxi driver that saw some creepy fucking shit and ran the fuck away as fast as he could. He's literally a coward. He's literally a coward.
That's fantastic. I mean, to be fair, that's how a normal person would respond to something like that.
Yeah. And that's why people liked the taxi driver stories. Why they caught on so much is because that was a normal guy's reaction to seeing a monster in the forest was, I need to go the fuck home. I have nothing to do with this forest monster. Bye. You know?
Yeah, this thing's gonna fucking eat me. I'm getting in the car.
Exactly. That's part of it. Another popular story is the Druidess. Now, this is another thing that actually happened, but I exaggerated it for David's tale. Here, we got a virus. Hello, virus.
Hello. You guys hear me?
What up? Yeah, I can hear you, virus. You've infected the stream.
I have. So,
what's
up?
What
are you going on about?
Oh, I was just talking about the Maine taxi driver here and how it came from, where it is now. So, the Druidess, another very popular story with the fans of this. The Druidess actually happened here in Maine. There's retreats for people in like corporate hell, the cubicle hell that people get locked into. So what they'll do is they'll send like their really most your craziest people, your people about to go crazy, bring a gun to work crazy. HR will put them on a list and say, HR will put them on a list and say, okay, these people need to go to the retreat. This is a real thing where they'll actually pay for their workers to leave the cubicles, go to Maine, stay out in the woods at a camp, and have somebody tell them how to meditate in a tent made out of leather full of steamy, sweaty ball air.
So it's basically a farm up north. But for people.
Essentially, we have rolling meadows up here, and rolling meadows is where this story is based off of. That it's strictly for women, and women professionals, women CEOs, women athletes, women in high-powered positions go here to rest and recuperate. It's like a resort that encourages them to be dirty hippies.
I see. Now, I can imagine women have a lot of stress in the office, especially in Maine.
No, this is from around the world. People from around the world send their employees to Maine to rest. You got to remember, this place is 95% forest, okay? 95% forest. We have one highway that runs through the whole thing. That's it. Everywhere else is just these little numbered routes that get paved every 20 years, you know? It is Siberia. So if you want to go somewhere where there's no cell signal and nobody can hear you fucking scream, that's Maine. And a lot of those resort people, they love that shit because it's so quiet here. Nothing fucking happens. Literally, we have the lowest crime rate in the entire United States.
Yeah, I'm looking at the German sheepy right here. They're saying Maine and Wisconsin sound like places that I don't want to go. Uncle Cider is scaring me.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, like Maine is a very, like I said, Stephen King doesn't have to reach for inspiration. He just changed things around so he didn't have to worry about copyright. I'm gonna keep talking. It's kind of the reason why the Maine taxi driver exists. Sorry, Jabba.
Poor Jabba. You're like, no, stop.
So with David, I simply took the approach that I would, if it were me, and I was just me. I didn't have a gun. I didn't have a knife. I didn't have like Sam Winchester with me. You know, I didn't have Obi-Wan. I was just fucking me, right? I was just out here in the woods meeting this crazy shit. What would I do? I'd fucking bail. What the fuck? I'm not going to stick around and fight Bigfoot. I don't got beef with Bigfoot. I got to get home. So that was David's methodology. When he encountered the Druidess, I wanted to make sure that he was just a basic guy. So he had like a little bit of flirtiness, but she was, of course, one of those ultra feminists and didn't want anything to do with that in her professional sphere. And she ends up, you know, causing trouble for him and whatnot. But in the story, what actually happened is not so different, but it is. You'll tell. Anyway, what happens in the story is David has to come back later after he drops off the Druidess at this resort where all these women are, strictly women. And the first time he brought her in, they were surrounding the SUV and they were all hugging and kissing and crying when she showed up and stuff. And they were very joyous that she was there, like some kind of spiritual Jim Jones leader, right? So the second time he came back, he is met by the Druidess. And she is like wearing an elk's head over her head. Like it's not bloodied or fresh or anything, but it's like an stuffed elk's head over her head, like some ceremonial thing. And she can lift all of the jugs of water she had ordered from David at once, displaying some supernatural strength for him. And he's just astonished and creeped out. And he leaves. He has to pass.
He's a guy.
Yeah, he has to pass by the resort later on his way back, right? And so what he notices is that there's a giant elk out in the field, and it's glowing like the moon. And it sees him with its big red eyes, and it chases him up to the driveway and makes sure that he leaves, like he keeps fucking going. And he complains like its eyes are burning through the rear view mirror right into his forehead, and the whole cabin is full of red light and all this other stuff. So what actually happened was this crazy Druidess lady goes out there. I take her out there. She's got all of her fanatic people that have been like, they are like falling all over her because she's some type of spiritual leader to them. She, however, is not able to like totally lift up 24 packs of water with no problem at all. That's not the reality of it. She just came back in like all sorts of like war paint with like feathers and shit braided into her hair and that black stuff around their eyes to make sure that they look creepy in the shadows and stuff. And I just figured, yeah, okay, you sacrifice somebody and that's their blood on your face. So that's how I built that she was like some super powered thing, like they had been feeding on the blood of some guy out there and had given him superpowers. The giant elk, that was a fuel barrel. That was a fuel barrel out in the middle of the field that freaked me the fuck out.
Oh yeah, I've been out in the
it
dark
was.
then. Like when there's no one around, and you just like see shit like, oh fuck. Like your mind makes up little monsters for you to fight. And here we have David in the story. He's a regular dude. He's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna walk out here in the woods. The sight of this weird lady with all this crazy ass pain on must really take a toll.
Maine is like the Wales of the USA. Pretty close. It's a lot closer like Siberia. It's really more like Siberia. And poor whales. Poor whales. So Jabba says, I have a good idea for a one-page comic to add to Cider's campaign. Lasmat says, a creator, you didn't make me fill out an NDA. Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Oh, the Xenoduck book. Heavens to
Xenoduck.
Betsy. People are... But, So, this whole thing took off now, right? Because, like, these different videos that you're looking at right here, these are all established channels that have, you know, viewings and stuff like that and whatnot. But you're seeing, like, a Gravity PSI with season 2, episode 5, The Fog Parade. You have 701 views on this just 3 months ago for a relatively small channel. Keck is out here from almost 5,500 views on just a story about a gravel pit that made funny noises. And yeah, no, there's tons of these. And over the next few weeks or months or however long it takes, I will talk about these more in depth and whatnot. I will explain more of the stories and whatnot. Because again, they're based off of my actual driving experience, people I met, the weird shit that happened. I could tell you the story of Captain Quarterback.
Captain Quarterback. That sounds peculiar.
Or is Captain Quarter Roll? Something like that. I'd have to take a look at the Captain Laundry Bags, something like that. Quarterbags. Captain Quarterbags, that's what it was. Jesus. I'm sorry, it's just been so long. I have to go back to the reference one. This is an obscure one, but this did happen. Not this exact method of death, but this did actually happen in the town that I was driving taxi in. So there was a guy that came into town through the general welfare program, and that'll place someone at a hotel room in order to avoid being homeless in the wintertime. And so this guy had come to town under that program. He wasn't a citizen, wasn't a native, wasn't from the area. He was just a guy that was placed here because they had nowhere else to put him. He would go back and forth to the Goodwill and buy all of this old tech, like ham radios, old Betamax players, nothing like a record player or anything like that. But walkie-talkies, he'd get those. He liked the very old computers, so like the gateways that had the all-in-one and stuff like that, the monitor that was all-in-one. And he was taking it back to the hotel room. Just this junk collector taking it back to the hotel room constantly, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he started like paying in quarters, right? And that's where he got the name Quarterbags, is that he had bags of quarters that were lotted out, right? And it's like pre-counted. There it is. That's the word. It's pre-count. I was reading the last.
Oh no. Looks like he's been deleted. Is the stream still up? Yeah, it's still up. Okay.
Ah, Cider Gods.
Who doesn't love it, right? Who doesn't love it? Gosh, who doesn't love it?
Did your internet get you, Cider?
Yeah, it bit me. It bit me. I'm back though. But yeah, he says, FYI, I Googled Maine taxi guy and this stream is second in the search listing. So that's what got me distracted. But Captain Quarterbags, he had this stuff all out. So all he had to do was hand to us the bag of quarters he could get out. So we didn't have time to ask him questions about what the hell he was doing with all this shit, right? So imagine, if you will, a regular hotel room, right? There's no second floor, there's no adjoining room. It's like a 12 by 18, and a bathroom is tucked at the other end of like a 5 by 6, just enough to fit the shower stall and the toilet and the sink, right? So not a lot of space, and he's got it filled to the brim with like 90s, 80s, 70s tech, right?
Mhm.
And finally, the calls stop coming, right?
Yeah.
And I want to remind you, this in reality, this has actually happened. This is the reality of it. So we went in there to pick him to do a wellness check. Like, our company went in there, and because we get curious about people, as you transport them around every day and they disappear for a week, that means something. And especially in the wintertime. And he had hooked up all of these machines to run through a singular power socket into a copper cocoon in the bathtub, and he just beef jerkied himself.
What does that mean?
So he put himself inside of a electric oven, essentially, by
Oh,
making
dear.
a tube of copper from all of the shit inside of these devices he'd collected. He essentially built a human drying, cooking, jerkying
That must have smelled
machine.
awful when you
Yeah.
walked into that room.
Yeah, I had the privilege of not being sent over to find out about that one. But
Nice.
that again, Stephen King doesn't have to look hard for crazy inspiration. Shit, weird fucking shit happens up here. It's the cold, I swear to God.
Fucking
Yeah.
Maine, dude. Good
But that
lord.
was the end, and that again, and like that didn't change much for Captain Quarterbacks. What I did is I added in like some the tin cans are talking to us. The government monitors us through tin cans, and cats are. There was one guy we used to transport that used to think that cats were recording devices for the U.S. government.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yes, that cats. See, tin cans were this guy. This is a real guy. This wasn't in any of the stories. He dressed up as Captain Jack Sparrow. And he went around collecting cans and bottles and crushing them and destroying them and getting the money back from them, but making sure that the government couldn't get the harmonic resonance recordings from the tin cans by doing that. He thought it worked like a gramophone. So as your tin cans are sitting in the cupboard and you're having conversations about overthrowing the government, this guy thought that your humble can of baked beans, Bush's baked beans, was reporting back to the CIA your intentions to usurp the government.
Jesus.
And he also believed that Fluffy the cat, adorable little Fluffy that leaves you presents in your sandals, is also a government spy. And that cats record human vital signs. So the government was able to collect massive amounts of regular resting heart rates, regular resting stress rates, and then report. The cats would like go out and they would be collected, and some device in them would read the chip that they get to track them. And all that information would be exchanged to the CIA so they could take whole samples of the United States based on cat ownership.
Jesus, man.
He had it all fucking figured out. Like, I was like, shit, my fucking cat's glowy. Holy shit.
Yeah, Maine man makes Florida man look intelligent.
Yeah, Florida man seems pretty reasonable when you think about Maine man.
I mean, and fucking Florida man robbed a fast food joint using an alligator.
So, again, I mean, like, that was just nothing I put into the stories, but that's the general crazy that you'll just run into here in Maine on the norm.
That's nice.
We have I had a neighbor, right? And I shit you not. I used to live in an apartment complex when I was doing all this. I lived in an apartment complex with old women. Like, every one of my neighbors was some dinky old lady, some dotty old lady that didn't have a clue in the world except for one. Oh, there's a Go-Go Power T-Rex.
Oh yeah, what are you doing?
Oh, hi. I'm talking about the
The glowy cats? Yeah, I heard.
yeah, and the main taxi driver, because I am the main taxi driver. It's me, everybody. Way back in 2014, humble cider driving taxi decided to turn his daily doodads into tales
Really
of
weird stories.
mystery. Yeah, tales of
Really
mystery and intrigue. That's right. If you're
That's how
tuning
you
in
know
right
you're a
now,
fucking writer, man.
if you're
Well,
tuning in right now, I am the main taxi driver. When you go search this stuff, that's my stuff. Those are my creations. It's just fun, something fun I did, and I really enjoy that so many people have channels dedicated to it now, and they read it out loud. Like I said earlier, check out Magusa. She's a Scottish lady that reads this stuff. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, you know, Prime would love the Scottish ladies. I mean, power
Oh.
T-Rex.
I was talking about the brothel. That's right. So I had in my apartment complex, there were 4 units. There was one townhouse that had 2 floors, and that was for a lady that for some reason kept falling downstairs, and they left her there. I don't know why. They thought it was a good idea to leave her in the townhouse one, but whatever. So she had 2 floors. The lady next to me, deafer than a doornail. She has the news cranked up to max with both fucking stereo surround sounds next to her ears. The lady deafer than a doornail. But downstairs, there was, I believe I called her Dottie in the story. And I believe I called her Dottie. And downstairs, she was a very well-spoken British lady that had lived in Maine because she handled banking information for the yacht club in town. So she was just here because this was where her work was, and as soon as she'd get away, she would. Can't blame her. But Dottie was a little unaware of her age. Let's put it that way. You've met an old lady that just really doesn't get that you're not into grandma pussy, right? You've had that happen, haven't you?
Unfortunately.
No.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well,
Only
Prime,
once, but once was enough. It creeped me the fuck out.
Yeah, it's it's that thing, indeed. Yeah.
Prime's just in denial. Like you know, you hit up a grandma. Come on, Prime.
So this lady, because she's again, she's a well-kept lady. She's of high society for Maine, but she's obviously from England. She knows how to carry herself. Anyway, it came time for me to clean the floors, and I had the apartment above hers. So I came downstairs and I said, "Hey, Dottie, I need to clean the floors. Let me know if it gets too noisy for you." And I had knocked on her door and just kind of shouted into her apartment because I knew she was, making dinner or whatever. However, she comes to the door in a robe with bath water running in the back. Now, old lady. Okay?
Oh,
Don't get excited. Old lady answers the door in a robe, carrying wine with the bathtub in the back. If anybody else has the hair on the back of their neck standing up on end, you can join me, right? Take a number. But I said, okay, well, if you just if it's too loud, let me know. I'll see you later. And I went back upstairs and went back to that. Now, the day after that, I was curious because I hadn't heard from her, and I scrubbed pretty much all night long. I had the big old floor scrubber there, the one you can stand on and ride around on. I had that bastard running for like 12 hours. We made sure that place was spick and span. I do it every season to get the fucking dust and crud out.
Now,
So I
which
went
kind
down-
of model? The ones that look similar to like a cement mixer, or the ones that are more like a Segway?
The one that's like a Segway.
Okay.
Highlight on determined sheepy's comment right here saying, "Ask a former caregiver." Yes, some old women think they're 19. It's very strange. I agree. Yeah, that's weird.
It is. It's sexy story time. Well, it gets weird. Okay, I'll tell you how it gets weird. So anyway, I go back downstairs the next day and I say, "Oh, hey!" I knock on the door. She comes. She's dressed. She comes to the door. She's dressed, and I say to her, "Hey, Dottie, was that too loud for you?" She says, "No, not at all. I had no problem at all. Didn't hear a thing." It's like, "Great, that's fantastic." Before I leave, though, she says, "Is my television too loud for you?" And I said, "No, it's not at all." And you can turn it up if you'd like. I know sometimes it might be hard of hearing because it's been a long day. I'm trying to make excuses for old people hearing, right? And she's like, "Oh, okay, thank you. I appreciate that." Blah blah blah. That night, I'm laying in bed, and I shit you not, I am laying in bed, and we have it's an apartment building, so bedroom above bedroom, kitchen above kitchen, so that way the drains work. You don't have to fuck with the pipes so much.
Yep.
So I'm laying in bed. I'm just staring at the ceiling, thinking like, man, it smells so nice in here. And I hear, "Yeah, bitch, you take that fucking dick," come from the floor.
Was that Prime? The Prime?
No, that was her porn she was watching in her bedroom in the floor below me. Dottie, the little old lady.
If I had my camera on right now, you'd see me be face palming.
Hello, Rick Productions.
Jesus, that's great.
Oh, God.
That was well produced.
Brian, what's your alibi? Where were you during that day?
I was 6 years old.
Sure you were.
No.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. But yeah, so what happened though is that she's a very kinky old lady who has not realized that, people are kind of unsettled by grandma being so comfy with her proclivities, right? So that
most
inspired...
people don't want to hear about grandma's battery-operated boyfriend.
Yeah, right. And how do you approach that? How do you be like, "Hey, last night, TV, little loud." How do you do that? I don't want to start that conversation. At least
that
of all, I don't want to
conversation goes down a road you don't want to follow.
Well, I don't want to have it with a horny old lady. I know how that conversation ends. It happened to me on a train. I don't need that again. Thank you.
Train.
A train.
God.
Is this
But
one
anyway.
of those other stories?
No. Have you ever heard of the Red Hat Society?
Yes.
Yeah, that. I was cornered by two very intoxicated elderly women who were absolutely fascinated with the fact IP standing up. So we're moving on with the story.
It wasn't my stepbrother, was it?
In Maine? I hope not.
I don't know. The Red Hat Society, they take, field trips all up and down the coastline. So
They take field trips all up and down other things too. So
Yeah, you sure know a lot about them, Prime.
No, I don't.
So that inspired the brothel. You see that one over here, and it kind of drips down over the side a little bit. That story was about a witch that commanded a brothel of women that gained power from sexual activity. And like Freddy Krueger, they would invade your dreams and steal your like sexual energy. They fed off of it in order to cast their dark magic. So like he has these dreams about being ravaged by a gang of women, being blah blah blah. Wakes up covered in scratches, laying in the bathtub, exhausted and bruised, like he'd actually been manhandled. But the apartment's still all locked up. He's safe. The bed's not even been slept in, and there's a note on the pillow where he's supposed to sleep. That's just a black heart, just a little black heart.
That's funny. I actually have something similar to that in my tabletop setting. It's always fascinating to see how other people handle similar concepts, completely independent of how you've done it.
German Sheepy says, "Not uncommon. Odd that it was a woman, but old men at my nursing home often have pornos hidden around the room." Yes, well, wouldn't you know? I guess women have those interests too. Surprise.
Yeah, well, it's true that the male sex drive is, on average, much stronger than the female sex drive, but that's not to say that women don't have one. Like, yeah.
So now you see this CIA one down here, a very short one. There was an actual meteorite that crash landed in Maine, right? It would turn green in the sky.
Ooh.
And I went on to 4chan, cited this, provided the news article, and explained that David had driven two FBI agents who wanted to remain, CIA agents who wanted to remain undercover by taking civilian transportation in and out of the base because the Russians were interfering with it because it matched the same metal resonance as the meteor that crashed into their country that caused that big fucking explosion a few years ago.
Interesting.
Yep. And so that's how it works. That's it. That's all you have to do is you have to take an event and be like, how can I, and that's people just fell in love with that crazy stuff. Now we did have actual CIA, DEA, FBI people travel with our taxi service in order to perform stings on drug dealers and prostitutes. That actually does happen still today. So, we're familiar with the gig.
Is it okay that you bring it up on here? Like,
well, yeah, because what the hell? Who's going to expect who, right? You know that police try to pose as Johns in order to pick up prostitutes, but it hasn't stopped it.
So there's a 50-50 chance that almost every single guy in a suit in a yellow taxi cab is a glowy?
Pretty much.
Or working for a glowy, yeah. The where is that one? The ice monster. That's not one. Oh, Maine Bros Ghost Girlfriend. That one was fun. The real story behind that one is that I was hired by a family to transport them for the second time around to other parts of Maine that I don't normally get to, like way out a place called Eastport, where Star Supreme grew up, right? It's actually where I got acquainted with the place. And so while I was there, I stayed at an inn separate from the family who stayed at a house that they had rented. And the inn has its own lore that a maiden that was promised to another man, despite being in love with a sailor, she was married away and she committed suicide because she was so unhappy in her forced marriage. She's jumped off the railing and drowned in the marina right in front of the inn. And so I worked that into the story with David that ghost was screwing with him and had stolen his Pepsi can and was trying to lure him out to where she could drown him. Because that was the ghost's thing in the actual myth, is that if you follow her call, if she lures you out at night, she will drown you. There's a whirlpool next to the shore. And so David goes on this adventure, but I add into that there is a psychic that registers that the ghost wants to fuck him. Now, what is your first reaction to having a overweight, who you think is a charlatan psychic, telling you that a ghost at an inn in rural Maine wants to fuck you?
It's time to start recording that conversation to play for friends later for laughs.
Well, no, it's what David did is he got mad and he didn't get the joke when other people were laughing about it, because I was like, I'd get mad. I didn't want to be singled out as the guy with the fucking ghost
Fatty
girlfriend.
fetish?
No, with the ghost girlfriend. That's what the psychic tells David, is that there's a ghost that wants to fuck him.
oh yeah, I wonder what Prime would do in that situation.
Why is everything coming back to me?
Prime would take the D.
Is your dick haunted?
No.
That's a problem. Come to Maine. We can fix that.
I put salt at my door every day, so there's no problem with that. Unless you're one of those Chinese spiritual people where salt don't matter.
But there's lots and lots of these stories, as you can see here. And again, over on YouTube, you can hear them. You can hear the whole story. I'm abbreviating them, so, But these were events that actually took place in my life. The dream catcher, there was an owl that was haunting the homeless community in Portland.
Hold on, first I have a question.
Sure.
So since you've been writing these stories, what did your family think about it? Were they like, oh, it's cool, he's writing about the taxi stuff, or did they not know?
Well, they know. They think it's fun. It, like, what really creeped me out was when I first started making this, and I didn't tell anybody. It was just the very first post I made just to try it out. And like the third response was, "Why are you lying, Thomas? None of this ever happened." It creeped me the fuck out that within an hour of my total anonymous posting, I was David, in fact. Someone knew it was me, and right on the internet, on the wild internet, not Facebook, on the wide open 4chan, bare your ass to the world internet, right? That scared me, and it fucked me up because it went on for a couple months where just one person would show up early on in every Maine taxi guy thread asking me, "Why are you lying? None of this ever happened."
Like, was
They
it?
named me every time.
You never found out who he was?
No, or they could have been a lady. I don't know. I never found out. No one ever came up to me in real life and said, "Hey, you know, why are you telling your taxi stories like they're some kind of X-Files episodes?" Nobody ever did.
No theories at all?
No, really, I don't, because nobody I know talks to me about 4chan. You got to remember, in Maine, we have like a 71% literacy rate, okay? Like a high school level reading rate, okay? 71%. Most people around here have to have somebody else fill out documents for them because they can't read 2-syllable words.
Wow, that's higher literacy rate than Detroit.
Well, you got a point. But in this regard, it's a whole state. So, really hard to meet people who know the internet is anything more than a porn box that also has Facebook and Instagram and YouTube on it.
Oh,
So,
no.
most people don't know that the internet is capable of doing most everything they could ever imagine. They,
Also, funny enough, your first name is my last name.
yeah. It's you know, those New Englanders, just very original. But yeah, the genesis behind a lot of this was that I just really enjoy alternate history stories. I enjoy taking like instances.
It's actually not to
go ahead.
Move the topic for a hot second, but it's actually why I enjoyed the concept of Vestige 1 so much. I thought it was a really cool idea. I didn't so much enjoy Vestige 2, but
the Nancy Drew Scooby-Doo crossover.
I actually really, really like Doodlebag's art. It's phenomenal. It's just whoever got Gat to alter the story and rush it, it was a mistake.
Yeah, I agree. I really like Vestige and like Doodlebag's art style. I'm curious if he's gonna work in any other books. I know he does like cards every now and then.
I'm pretty sure he's working on something else, but I can't remember what it was, and I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it. So, because I had to ask him about his schedule, just because I'm going to commission some art from him soon.
Yes, I am. Biggest of brains.
Oh yeah, speaking of campaigns, how's Colossals doing?
Well, right here today, we're actually taking a look at it at being $3,850, right?
Which is an insane amount of dosh for a first-time outing, especially when you consider that there are people who have been at this for years and can barely breach $2,000.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the fun part. And again, I mean, like, if you're just tuning into this, if you're catching it in the replay and you're wondering, wait, hold on, what is going on with this Colossals thing just popping up right here, this comic book? Well, the stuff you enjoyed about the Maine taxi driver is in here. Delilah, that character, that woman all the way off to the right here, the one with the blonde hair and the green there around her neck, that is the character that deals with the Penobscot County Sheriff's Department solving crimes caused by bulletproof bumps in the night. She's all about confronting the evils that David ran away with, and maybe David even makes an appearance in her stories. You got Hypercussion's face is hidden here. That wasn't on purpose. Hypercussion, the guy in here in the middle, the guy with the visor and the blue and red on right here. He and his fiance explore a super giant spaceship that's hidden underneath Mount Katahdin in Maine. It goes all the way down to the core of the Earth. It looks like something that fused into our planet when it fell out of subspace.
So
So
the Colossals are superheroes in Maine.
Right. There's superheroes that have a basis in Maine. Star Supreme, all the way over here on the left, not born and raised, but raised in Eastport, Maine, as an infant all the way up to adulthood in Eastport, Maine. Her children, Shadow Spinner, next to her, of course, here, purple hood, yellow suit, and up in the sky is Isaac with the robot there. Her adopted children, they live in Eastport with her, right in Maine. They have crazy adventures there too. Maine's full of cool stuff. If you're able to take a look away from like there's a saying rather. Here we go. If you're able to see the forest for the trees.
Well, a place with that
So-
many trees makes a lot of sense for that saying to be around.
What you're saying is I'm going to learn a lot more about Maine with this book.
Not necessarily, but the stories that come out of this will definitely have to deal with Maine. Absolutely. Yep. These heroes have a commonality in Maine, though.
Yep, you're gonna know so much about Maine that you're gonna be uncomfortable. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't know I needed to know this much about Maine. It's gonna keep you up in the late at night. Be like, huh? If a tree falls in the forest and no one hears it, did it really make a sound?
Well, really, in Maine, the joke is if a tree falls in the forest, you have to pay taxes on it. So we are the highest taxed people per capita in the union for some reason. But anyway, again, if you're just tuning in or if you're catching this on the replay and you're wondering what is going on with this Colossals thing, these heroes, these stories that are going to come out of this, they are built with the same mind, the same kind of inventive thinking that went into the main taxi driver stories. Like I said, I'll save you guys like having to, read these things, just me reading them to you, but you absolutely can check it out on YouTube. It's not hard to find them, in fact. Determined Sheepy asks, Cider, do you have space alien cults in Maine? Yes, we do. They're people who worship the Anunnaki, and they are in, well, believe it or not, I think they live in Gray. They live in Gray, Maine. I think that's where they're centrally located. One time we had the Taps people, a Wicca group, and a Satanist witch group all doing spiritual seance summoning stuff at the same time. It created this weird triangle magic thing, right? Where like the witches were trying to raise a demon. It was like on some Samhain holiday or something. It wasn't Halloween, but it was like some sacred holiday, and that's what the Taps guys, the Ghost Hunters guys, were trying to play up on for spooks. They were over at Fort Knox, and really haunted place in Maine. And then the Wiccas were just trying to help crops, so they were trying to summon an earth spirit to help with crops, and it just all created this horrible stank like aura over like 2,000 miles in Maine. Like central Maine was just ugly, horrible, stinky energy for almost 2 weeks.
Nice. That's what happens when you get people that don't fucking bathe routinely in the area.
Well, no, it's the see in Maine. I don't care. I'll say it. I actually think there's something to magic. I don't think you can turn people into ducks or whatever. I don't think you can transmute people or whatever, but I think the natural magic is out there, right? It's not something we generally get to tamper with. Because up here in Maine, you can't not see ghosts. You can't not. Everything's fucking haunted up here. Everything. New constructions end up haunted because some asshole fell into the wet concrete and drowned. It's just how it goes. Everything's fucking haunted here. And I should totally believe that those three like seance witch festival things fucked up the energy over my state for 2 weeks. Like the actual like earth energy, the way the trees feel and the way the grass feels underneath your toes, just made it feel all stinky and gross for like 2 weeks.
Fair enough.
So yeah, that's how I roll. I like believing that stuff. So that's why you should check out the Colossals. A lot of inventive thinking in here. Metal prints, big boobs, cool guy with a giant sword, razor in the Cursed King Bale armor. And you get a little bit of stats here. We're adding bios here pretty soon. So you get the first 4 here, more to come. So check it out. Check it out. Got all that Maine taxi driver goodness in it. Determined Sheepy says, well, my brother and his wife want to move to Maine. Do you recommend it? Sure, absolutely. It's very quiet here. It's a great place to raise kids. If you're sensitive about the vaccine mandate, they're going to be hard pressed to force it here in Maine. We already have a shrinking labor market, and if people resist too much, there simply won't be anybody to do anything in the state. So we're not going to go down that path, but we also don't have a problem with homeschoolers, homesteaders. So if your brother and his wife want to, set up a farm of their own, so they can grow their own vegetables, have their own meat and stuff like that, absolutely great place to go. Meth is a problem here, but I mean, it's not an epidemic. It's just people will burn down their house in the middle of winter making meth. You just got to get used to your neighbors occasionally doing that, I guess. And that's it. Lowest crime rate. We don't have gangs here even. There's not enough of us to organize into gangs.
It's the same way it is with my province of New Brunswick.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, though, we are literally on the Maine border. I can drive for 8 minutes and then cross into Maine once the border reopens anyway.
I'll tell you, Jabba, I'll be completely honest with you. My father told me to find a lady that doesn't shave her legs so that way I had earmuffs in the winter.
It's a terrible joke. I love it. Oh, God.
No way, man. That just sounds way too gross.
I don't know. You put up with cold ears or you don't have to. Yeah.
Must be sending them that Maine water.
Makes the women hairy, huh? Up. Prime's back.
Yeah, sorry, I had to go do something real quick. What were we talking about?
How's your dad doing, by the way, Prime?
Oh, he's all right.
Good.
Yeah, we were just talking about Maine and Maine accessories.
Mr. Elasmat went out and made a pretty cool post.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he went over to one of the more popular videos and let everybody know. So he gave the link to the stream here to the channel as well. And
oh, damn.
Yeah, you could see right here. So the man who created the Maine Taxi Driver series has revealed himself right here. It says right here. And as you can see, some people, they just love this shit. They go fucking nuts for it.
Oh, yeah.
I think I'm Stephen King.
Stephen King
hilarious.
testing out ideas on X.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's craziest stuff.
I mean, it wouldn't be that far from the truth. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if Stephen King actually gets super high and then fucking goes and.
Well, you don't have to. You don't have to. Really, you don't. Here's the crazy story about him. Okay, all right. So here we go. Next door neighbors, they have a little girl, right? She comes through the fence, right? Little boards loose. She comes through, disrupts Steven while he's outside typing and stuff. The parents like, oh no, we're so sorry. We didn't mean to interrupt. He says, no, it's fine. It's kind of nice having a kid around. Wife and I kind of miss having that, blah, blah, blah. So the kid gets bonded with the wife, bonded with Steven. They're having a great time. Christmas goes by, blah, blah, blah. Girl gets killed.
Oh, balls.
Murdered.
Of course. The worst possible outcome. Damn.
And Steven does not know how to handle this because he has no attachment to this child other than what's happened with her being his neighbor, and he doesn't know what to do because he's kind of got this daughter bond with her. So the parents, they can't stay. Every part of the house reminds them of her, and they go. Steven buys the house. She liked his horror stories because as little kids, you don't process the horror, right? You don't get the freaky deaky. It's just, it's cool. That guy's got laser tentacles. Haha. You know?
Yep.
And so they bought that house and turned it into a haunted house every year until people started telling Stephen they were seeing the little girl in her bedroom.
Oh dear.
Mm.
So Stephen King shut down the house. And every Halloween, he goes in and spends the night in the little girl's room.
Interesting.
Because he says he sees her in the window looking back at him. When he's outside and looks up, she's in her bedroom window looking out at him.
So is that like an astral projection where you can only see somebody in like a reflective state?
The ghosts in Maine actually work off of all the quartz we have. We have the largest fucking quartz deposits in the Northeast. Just gigantic fucking quartz deposits everywhere. If you don't know, quartz is known to retain that kind of spiritual freaky deaky energy.
Isn't that also a sign if you find quartz pockets, there's also gold?
Generally speaking, I couldn't say.
Well, granite is usually where you find that's another super hard rock. But yeah, quartz channels is supposedly to channel. Yeah, Lazamat's got it on. What am I meant to do with this, Lazmat? You had me go to the.
Let me go see what it is.
Now on stream, they belong to you. I went to the thing.
Oh, it's a reading of the Maine taxi driver.
Yeah, it's one of them. Yeah. It's one of them. Yeah. So
fairly recent too, September 1st, 2021.
Yeah, almost 5,500 views on that. Guy's got quite a few stuff up from me. I think he's got the Skinwalker reservation too. Well Red says Stephen King sounds more and more normal every day. Yeah, well, you know, the other factoid about him is he can't sleep with any part of his body but his neck up out from under the covers with a nightlight on at the top and bottom of the bed.
So weird.
Well, you dream up all of that shit. How can you close your eyes and not see it? You know, when you've written enough crazy stuff, man, it burns into your mind after a while.
Fair.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. You got it. I goofed. I made the dumb.
Oh wow. Okay, now I get it.
I just need to get that link back up again. I'm sorry, man.
I don't
have. You do? You sharing it?
Yeah, I can share it.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. I'm so sorry. I lost the link. I apologize, everybody. It's the first time I've ever really talked about this stuff, so it's kind of fun for me, and I'm losing track. But oh wow, can we enhance? There we go. Can we enhance it a little more?
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah. Enhance. You need
Maybe a little more? Yeah.
Whoa!
We gotta. Where'd the comments go?
I don't know. Let's dehance. There we go.
Nope, we don't have it. We have the thumb. Okay, all right. So if you wanna switch that to new.
All right.
Sort by new.
Newest.
Welcome aboard, by the way, everybody. I'm the Maine taxi driver. Surprise! It's me, Cider Hype. That's right. Mr. Lazmat's so kind to go in there and put in a link to this very stream right there. If you folks see that link up there in the chat, feel free to head over there and hit like on Mr. Lazmat's comment. And check it out. Read the comments for yourself. I mean, one of them here, he says, the graveyard Piet, I guess. Someone's very excited. They say, yes. You know, like, yes, Queen, slay, or something like that. Thanks for the content, Creek. Searched and figlu pilled, whatever that is. Ligoo. Brushwag. He says, I love this guy. He also said there was more Franklin stories. I hope to hear them. Oh, that's right. You guys will want to know about that. So we'll get into that in another episode. What happened to Franklin and Benji? Yep, we'll get into that. Very popular story, that one. They actually found a real life cult, a real world cult based off of the random shit I sewed together to make a crazy conspiracy story. But this guy says, a bright, shiny morning. I'm fucking unnerved. Good job. Great story. Thank you for sharing. The saga continues. Fuck yeah, Maine bro. Yeah, these people, they like these green texts, and because it's just an average guy reacting averagely to crazy, above average paranormal situations. Oh, there's that guy. He says, Pretzel. He says, no fucking way. This has been my absolute favorite series of green texts. I can't count the amount of times I've fallen asleep to this.
Oh, shit.
25 likes on that.
Yeah, if you look in the chat, Job is saying, well read. They're installing the recording device into your book, and then it'll be sent to you.
It's high quality.
Glowy approved.
Yep.
Guys, back the book today, you can get a special glow-in-the-dark variant. I mean, it's a secret tier, only for well-read, though.
So that's what you can see here, guys. Just every one of these channels, every one of these posts, they all have a bunch of comments of people really happy to hear about them. It just goes to show, if you're patient and you let stuff come around, it'll find its way if it's good. Just got to be patient.
Look, Maine guy is back, baby. Here's hoping I don't get a ton of Visit Maine ads again.
Yeah, right. Too late. Determined Sheepy says, Cider, I am prone to running into creepy crap. It's like it's drawn to me. Would visiting Maine cause dang ghosts to beeline for me? Yes. Yes, it would. Yes, it would. If you're familiar with what a medium is, a sensitive, perhaps, in the spiritual tickety-talk kind of conversation stuff there, ghost hunter talk, if you will, those are people that simply have a special type of chakra or chi, or however you want to animeify it. Your vital human energies, and ghosty folks tend to gravitate to that because they can pull a little bit off of it and manifest themselves. That's how people end up with scratches and stuff like that from ghosts that aren't necessarily evil or mean or whatever. So,
are you sure they're not evil? I mean, scratching me, maybe they're just like, oh yeah, just have to let you know I'm here.
Yeah, usually that's what it is there's a trick to this, is that if you have a mirror on an outside wall, the spirits can move freely in and out of your home. But if you take that mirror down, they become very angry.
Apparently, they can't get enough of you. Apparently, they want more Maine taxi guy.
Yeah, all the time. Every time. Shit. And yeah, it's true. It's how I feel. I encountered a demon at my girlfriend's house when I was 17 years old. That's when I got my first set of scratches.
So it wasn't your girlfriend. It was a demon.
No, that was the demon that scratched me right across my chest.
I'm sure your mom was like, yeah, sure, kid.
No, this stuff's been happening to me my whole life, man. This crazy shit's happened to me my whole life. It's pretty normal. If in Maine, if your kid hasn't been terrorized by something dead or from beyond, you're doing something wrong. You're not letting them get outside often enough.
Yeah, let's go let Bailey play with the demons. Yeah,
I'm still freaked out by the whole falling through reality shit. I wasn't aware that anyone else has ever had that experience.
Yeah. Again, Maine's another place where creepy stuff happens. I'm convinced I've fallen through 3 different universes.
Because for me, whenever it would happen, it would be when I was trying to fall asleep, and I just snap awake, and I couldn't bring myself to get off the couch because I was like just terrified that I was, if I got out of bed, I would just fall through the floor and just disappear. Like, it was nuts. Like, it's an intense feeling when you wake up like that.
When you wake up in a universe that never had Lady Liberty standing on Staten Island. Yeah, it's pretty freaky.
You ever been in a dream state where you can't discern what is reality and what is, not?
Yep.
Yes, frequently.
Yeah,
lucid dreaming.
That's called lucid. Yes, Josiah beat me to it. Lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had 4 or 5 lucid dreams in my entire lifetime, and by the gods, that shit is freaky.
Arguably, every time you pee yourself in bed after dreaming about peeing, you're having a lucid dream. Pretty lucid.
That makes sense. Of course, I've never done that.
No,
Sure you haven't. Sure.
No one.
I'm gonna press X to doubt on that one.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yes,
Doesn't-
well read. You are correct. I'm
He's-
guessing that virus.jpg is Black Mercury. That name is a dead giveaway.
Oh, not his voice? Oh, really? Wow.
He's like a detective, man.
It took him a whole half an hour just to figure that out.
Our good friend, well-read user. Everyone.
Maybe he should do a review on you being Black Mercury.
All Red and Testify need to quash their beef. You gotta get on a stream and have it out.
this is 4chan X today. This is the paranormal section of 4chan. As you can see, there's quite a bit of creepy going on and cuddly kittens. But it's a very bizarre place. They're talking about Travis Scott and all that crazy satanic stuff that happened with him in his concert last night, I think. So that's a thing. But this is what the board looks like when you come on and want to find this stuff. Sometimes people start main taxi driver threads to see if it'll like summon me or something. I don't really have anything more to add right now, and I don't like to produce content that I don't feel my heart is behind. So if you're hearing this and wondering why I haven't wrote anything more in the taxi driver stuff since 2017, and you're a fan of this, please understand, I just don't want to give you shit that's not worth your time. If I can turn this into some little bit more entertaining format, like a comic or maybe an animated thing or maybe a live action thing, they're pretty simple stories. No big stuff required. I'll do that, absolutely. But right now, guys, if you're tuning in, you're a fan of the main taxi driver stuff, wondering why there isn't more, I just don't want to give you stuff I'm not going to be proud of. I just don't feel like writing David these days. I'll get back to it eventually, I promise you. It's in my bones. Drove taxi for almost 10 years. It's not like I have a shortage of stories. But, yeah. Look for it. But, yeah, that's the first ride into the main taxi driver universe, I guess. I'll get into more stuff later on, like Central, the role of the Escalade. What was the point of having David meet up with so many gypsies over and over again? Was he a drug addict? Did he go to jail? What happened to Franklin and Benji? Just a lot of that stuff that never got kind of sewed up because it just never came back to me. But yeah, we've been headed into this for almost almost an hour and a half. So I think that's good first run at it. Probably a lot of information at once, but it's first good run at it. I do want to say again, if you're live watching this or later on watching this, feel free to hit like and subscribe and slap that bell so you know when we go live again to talk about this. Have more information about Dave, the main taxi driver, Cider, whatever you want to call me. Feel free to hit down into the comments, down in the doobly-doo there. Let us know. Let me know what you want to hear. What do you want for like an explanation on certain things? Why it happened? Why I use the word David, name David? What happened there? Who Central is? What happened with Franklin and Benji? Or if you have other questions, like what type of taxi did David drive? What was the lake house like? What was in the pit? That sort of thing. Feel free to leave questions and comments down below.
I suspect once the fans of your content find this video, you'll have a lot of questions to answer.
I hope so. It's just been fun watching everybody take a look at, really appreciate what it is. Because again, I'm not interested in being like some superstar out of this. I would like to sell my comic. If you're interested, it's Colossals over on Indiegogo right now. Put the link in the chat here. That's it though. I don't want to be some superstar or prevent anybody from making content. So if you are a YouTuber that is watching this and you're hearing this story, me explain these stories and telling your mind, it's It's okay. Please keep reading them. It's awesome. Like I said, I like Megusa, what she's up to, Gravity PSI with his special intros, Keck and Creek and Kay. These guys, you're doing great stuff. Please don't stop. It's entertainment. I love looking at it. I enjoy catching up on all the stuff you guys are up to with your other posts and your videos, what's cool in your communities and stuff. I'm not a big horror guy, but I do like green text. I do like creepypasta. So if nothing more, please continue making Maine Taxi Driver content, right? Do not feel like it has to stop or change or try to avoid my copyright claims. There will be none. No copyright claims. Continue making the content, please. You're doing great work, guys. Great work.
All right,
Yeah.
Thanks everybody in the chat for coming by and watching this.
Yeah, this was great.
Yeah, I got my first real exposure to creepypasta, so I'm down with that. Down for that.
Yeah. If you're a fan of SCP, the Maine Taxi Driver stories are good for you too.
Yep. I'll definitely have to read them all.
Yep, it's kind of got that same mentality of encountering the weird, but it not becoming some drama story and whatnot. The guy just runs away from it. And there's a whole bunch of content to deal with. So yeah.
Yes, thank you, Java. This was awful.
It's always awful with you. Always.
So, anybody have any last words before we close this out?
F. Einbrecht. In the immortal words of EVS.
There you go. Well, thank you for coming on, Brett. I appreciate it.
I second that. Yes, F. Einbrecht.
All right. Well, I'll see you guys back in the Discord.
Yeah, man. Take it
Got
easy.
Anything in private?
I think I would discuss that with you in private because I'm kind of curious about something now. But we'll go from there.
Okay. All right.
All right. Have fun, everybody. Take it easy.
Adios. Like I said, these are just stories that I wrote from my experiences, and you know what? When it comes down to it, they were fun, and people seem to have fun with them. So I hope you do too. Go ahead and look them up here, and let these people know that you found out about me, right? That I'm out here, I do my thing. I'm selling some stupid superhero comic if they ask, you know, what I'm up to. But let them know that the creator's out here, and they, they come by and ask questions. Absolutely. Oh, what's going on here? Uh-oh. Oh. Yeah, P sign brick. But remember F sign brick, right? Well, again, if you're watching the replay, I'm the Maine Taxi Driver. The stories you read on X were written by me based on my experiences as a rural taxi driver in Maine. This is the first part of a series that'll go on for quite a while as I explain what went on, how it happened to come to be, and some more back behind the scenes information. Who knows? I might be able to actually show you the van that I used to drive around in where these stories were based out of. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one. Here's the intro as the outro.
Listen, dumb bad shit to feel good. Now in every hood, F the other side. I don't wait for the truth. Misunderstood, dumb bad shit to feel good. Reputation ringing out in every hood. That's why I'm like F the other side. Eyes realize for those real lies. My voice sends chills, left to those in the session. My mind is listening.